Good. My screen is up there. Good. I'm trying to watch the delay over here. So here's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. I've done this presentation several times, and I feel like it just gives a little summary of kind of how I structure all of my coaching. So I hope that you'll be able to take away a few pieces that you can start to implement today into your daily lives. So the presentation is called Spring into Health, and it's how to start and stick with your fitness and nutrition journey all year long. And I promise you, it won't be too long. I'll have you for about 10, maybe 15 minutes as we go through. So just a quick introduction. I know there is a few people who may not know me. So my name is Dana Anello White, and I am the founder of both the Unweighted Project and Jersey Women Strong. My goal and my mission is I help women ditch dieting and get fit for good without having to give up pizza and wine. So that is my mission in life. So just a few quick things about myself. Jersey Women Strong. We are Northern New Jersey's largest all-women's running, walking, and multi-sport group. So if you're from the area, I hope you know all about us and all of the wonderful things that we do. We help women get fit, but at the same time, we're very involved in our local community through outreach and volunteerism. So look us up if you are a runner or looking to get into running. And my more recent passion, which is kind of built on many years of experience in the personal training field, is the Unweighted Project. My background is in exercise science. That was my first and original degree, and I've worked in this industry for a very long time. So I've been through, every type of diet and every type of exercise, and just kind of now putting it all together into my passion of coaching. And my philosophy boils down to 3 words: eat, move, and live. So Unweighted Project, if you're here, you do know about that. You can also find my blog, unweightedproject.com, and you can find me on Instagram as well and Facebook. So how do we start and stick with our health journey all year long, right? That is the question. Well, when it comes down to it, our health is heavily influenced by these 3 things: our nutrition, our exercise, and our environment. And that's where that eat, move, and live comes from. But how do we balance it all, right? How do we balance those 3 things? Okay, so we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about what our typical year of exercise and dieting looks like, right? So just to give you an overview, January, right? Think about how the year usually starts in January. New Year's resolutions. This is going to be the year I'm going to get fit, right? We sort of have this I am invincible superpower ability as we start the year. And then typically kind of what happens, we hit February, right? And especially from around here, the weather's rough. It's hard to get to the gym. It's hard to stay motivated. There's not much daylight. And by the time we hit March, oftentimes we're dragging in our exercise goals, and things like, donuts and all of the treats sound a lot better than they did a few months past. And it's hard, right? It's hard. We see this lull in our motivation to do really anything at this point. So April typically hits, and now we're starting to think about warm weather. We're maybe thinking about vacations again after a long pandemic, bathing suit season, all of that. And then we start to see another spike in the motivation level, right? So maybe we're hitting the gym, we're starting to eat better again. And we roll into the summer. And then what happens in the summer? Well, those, margaritas and barbecues start to roll in, and it makes it difficult sometimes to keep those fitness and nutrition goals. We oftentimes see another bump up in our motivation level when the kids go back to school. That September is kind of the new January, so to speak. And so, in my industry, for sure, we get a big bump in September when people are ready to sort of start fresh again. But of course, September is followed by October, November, and the December holidays. And then we kind of find ourselves right back where we started in January. So, what I'd like to talk to you about and ask you is that with all of these ups and downs, how can we kind of tug on the ends of those lines and make that line a little bit straighter? I'm just okay. So our pause button mentality. Okay, here is what we're talking about. So we either go full throttle or not at all. So I want you to think about exercise as a dial. Um, you think of it as a dial. So we're either at a 1 or at a 10. So if we have a wedding coming up or a reunion coming up or a vacation coming up, we're cranking up that exercise dial or that nutrition dial to a 10. But what happens is we fry ourselves with these unrealistic expectations and our unsustainable diets, right? And we've all been there. I'm sure we've all been there. So what happens though is when the goal is met or the event is over, we're exhausted and we find ourselves back at 0 on that exercise dial. So then what, right? We decide, all right, we'll start again when work slows down, after vacation, maybe when the kids are back in school, next week, next month, or fill in the blank of any of those times. So it's normal and even commendable to consider taking time to regroup when life feels easier for us. And it's a comforting thought. Like that fresh start is a comforting thought. But it's also, and this is key, it's the fastest, surest, and most reliable way to sabotage your plans for health and fitness. Why? Because we're building the skill of pausing when things get difficult again. And that's critical. We're building that skill to stop what we're doing. And it gives us an out, right? It gives us that out. These quick fixes, they build the skill of getting fit, losing weight in this very short and often not representative of our real life period of time. So let me just say, if something sounds too good to be true, it likely is. So don't be lured by those shiny objects. So instead, what I want to talk to you and to convince you is that let's build the skill of getting fit and staying fit in the midst of this normal, complicated, how life really is sort of life. Like, let's do it the right way. Let's do it the slow, methodical, controlled way, because this will last for the long term. So it takes patience, and that's the key. I want you to be in it for the long haul, but the changes will be long term. So again, what we're looking to do is this up and down, up and down. We're looking to tug on the ends of that line and to balance it all. So how do we do that? We do this by building tiny habits. And I take a 3-part approach. So those of you familiar with my coaching, you know that we kind of boil things down. We make them easy. We make them doable. We make you have success early on. So it boils down to 3 things: eat, move, and live. What I'm going to give you today are 2 things in each of those categories that you can walk away with and start doing right now. So in the eat category, we're going to talk about water and protein. So what I will tell you is what I've found with many of the people that I work with, whether it's people I work with for weight loss, for fitness, for running, we're chronically dehydrated. When it comes down to it, water is critical for many functions throughout our body. It can also help with satiety, which is key. So What I want you to start doing, and this will sound familiar to some of you, the minute your feet hit the ground in the morning, grab a glass of water. As simple as that. Can this change your life? Yes, it really can, because what happens is if you start to be more hydrated, you're going to feel better. You're going to drink more water, you'll start to feel better, you'll start to move more. Things will start to fall into place, trust me. So, throughout the course of the day, how much water should you drink? Just going to give you a general recommendation. You'll have to find your own sweet spot. But I want you to take your body weight in pounds, divide that number in half, and then aim for that number in ounces of water each day. Now, what I would recommend is that you adjust that 25 to 50% to start off with until you kind of find your sweet spot. So just to give you a quick example, total body weight, let's say it's 150 pounds. Divide that in half, that's pretty easy, it's 75. 25%, okay, adjust to 25 to 50% to start. So just have to move my little thing here. So 25% is 56 ounces, 50% is 37 ounces. So just a ballpark of how you do this. Very simple calculation. Next up, water plus protein. So we often skimp on protein, especially women. A lot of times when it comes down to it, we'll do like a 3-day journal tracking, and it's just shocking to see how low we are in protein. But it's also important to note that we can lose as much as 3.5% of our muscle mass each year after 30. Okay, so think about that. Protein and amino acids are critical for our cell function. So recommended daily allowances. Now, I am not a dietitian, so I do not give specific recommendations, but I can give you some ballpark ideas of where you should be. So recommended daily allowance is 0.8 grams per kilogram. What I have seen kind of anecdotally is that's generally too low for most people. You'll see recommendations for as much as 1 gram per pound of body weight. This would be for someone who's, working out heavily, maybe strength training heavily, and really needs to sort of replace all of that's being lost through all of that hard work and lifting weights. So in reality, okay, what I have seen, generally 1 to 2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram is kind of a sweet spot for most women. Again, it'll fluctuate either above or below that. So how do you do that, right? How do you do that? You have to really try to get protein at each and every meal and snack. So it does take a little bit of planning ahead of time, but making sure that every single time you put food into your mouth as part of a meal or a snack, it includes some protein. You can use your palm as far as for main meals about how much protein to have. Use your palm. For women, we want about 1 palm of protein per meal, and for men, it's 2. Of course, they can eat more. So this is just kind of an example of what that would look like. And there's so many great choices. I mean, we're not going to get into the protein choices, but whether you're a vegan or you're a meat eater, I mean, there's plenty of things that you can work into your diet. It just takes a little bit of variety. It does not have to be chicken breast day after day after day. I know that's kind of the pattern we tend to fall into, but there's lots of other great choices for you. So we covered the eat. We're going to move on to move. And this is probably my favorite category. And we'll talk about steps and NEAT. So as far as steps are concerned, I want you to read this study. Over a 4-year period, as the number of daily steps increased, mortality rate decreased until at 7,500 steps, where it leveled off. Now, you might have heard before about the magic number of 10,000 steps. That was actually part of a fitness campaign. I don't remember where it originated, but there was really no studies done about that magic number of 10,000. The studies were done at 7,500. So this will give you a little bit of a break if you have a hard time hitting 10,000. That doesn't mean that 10,000 can't still be your goal, but 7,500 is where it showed that if you can hit that at least a day, it is going to help with mortality level. So It's about a 5K a day of walking and of movement throughout the day. Obviously, you do need something to track. So Apple Watch, a Fitbit, I mean, there's so many, a Garmin. And if you don't have one of those things, most of our smartphones, most everybody has a smartphone these days, have it built in. Okay, so keep an eye on those steps. And one thing I like to share at this point, over the past couple of years, I've had a sedentary job, and oftentimes I'll get up in the morning and do a workout, on the bike, and maybe a 30 to 45 minute ride. And on those days, I mean, I sometimes look at my steps and I'm just sort of appalled because I'm not moving during the day. I'm sitting a lot. And especially with us, work from home, we've kind of fallen into that category. And while that 45 minutes of exercise for me is great, sitting is it's just not healthy. It's not healthy for our hips. It's not healthy for our heart. It's not healthy in general. So I would just ask you to kind of pay attention to that movement and to try to hit that magic number of 7,500. Next up is NEAT, and I know I get crazy over NEAT. My coaching clients laugh at me, but it really is the secret sauce to overall fitness, health, weight loss. I want you to just think about energy in versus energy out, right? We know that that's kind of the magic formula. So our total daily energy expenditure, and don't get freaked out by this formula here, because I'm going to explain everything. And again, this is just a brief overview. But our total daily energy expenditure is how many calories we burn per day. This is our energy out. It's made up of 4 different categories: BMR, TEF, TEA rather, and NEAT. So BMR, that's our basal metabolic rate. That's basically the energy required just to sustain us and to have our brain work and our heart beat. So basic functions. TEF is the thermic effect of food. Did you know that you actually burn calories while you're eating and digesting? Bonus. And some foods actually cause you to burn more calories, double bonus. Then there's the thermic effect of activity. This is our planned and structured exercise throughout the course of the day. And then there's our NEAT, which is our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And this is basically the amount of energy expended for everything we do that's not sleeping, eating, or exercise. So things like playing with your kid, yard work, grocery shopping, walking the dog, cleaning the house, right? Anything that's sort of movement-based, but it's not structured exercise. So again, our total daily energy expenditure is a function of our basal metabolic rate, the thermic effect of food, the thermic effect of activity, and our NEAT. So out of all of those things, if we sleep 8 hours a day and exercise 1 hour a day, NEAT is about 63% of our day. So when we're talking about making an impact in that formula, it really is the secret sauce, right, to improving that energy out. So what can you do? Simple things like take the stairs, park farther away, do 10 squats or jumping jacks on the hour if you're working from home and you need some movement. Use a standing desk. This is important. Alternating between standing and sitting during the day can make a huge difference. Pace when you're talking on the phone. If you have a work meeting and you're able to, if you don't have to be in front of the computer on a Zoom, pace and walk around while you're talking on the phone. And then, you can set up a timer to get up and move for 2 minutes every 30 to 60 minutes. That really helps. And you have to set that timer. Don't force, don't put that pressure, that added pressure on yourself to make yourself accountable and then beat yourself up because you didn't remember. Give yourself a little bit of a break. And then the last category is our live category. And here we're going to talk about 2 big things, the 2 S's, sleep and stress. So the average adult gets about 7 hours of sleep per night. And 33% of the population gets fewer than 6.5 hours of sleep per night. Ouch. When it comes down to it, most people lose sleep voluntarily. And this is because we delay our bedtime. So I know this isn't for this isn't everyone, and people kind of get defensive when we talk about this, but oftentimes we do lose sleep because we choose to. We watch TV, we're playing around on our phones, or we decide that 11 o'clock is the perfect time to clean the house. And I get that. I do. I know it's like the peaceful hour, especially if you've had a long day. But here's the thing. A 2005 study showed that people between the ages of 32 and 49 who slept fewer than 7 hours each night are significantly more likely to be obese. And they also did studies on healthy, normal men and found with 4 hours of sleep, so just like kind of temporary sleep loss, here's the thing, it affects your hormones. And these are kind of the hungry hormones. So it lowers our level of leptin, which is the hormone that tells our body that we're full. And it can increase the level of ghrelin, which is the hungry hormone. So, think about what that lack of sleep might be doing to you internally. And maybe days that you are exhausted, you're more hungry, you probably are. So it's not necessarily a psychological thing. Like, it makes changes happen inside of your body. So something simple that can help, just to create a sleep ritual, get the lights turned down, put the phone away for 30 minutes, read for 10 minutes. This past week in the group, we were working on the 10-page a day challenge. So maybe you continue that each night before bed. But it's just so important to create that ritual. It can make, again, this is a small change that you have to be willing to do to start moving towards those goals. So our final category today is stress. And of course, this is a big one. The best time to relax is when you don't have the time for it. And I know that, we're there a lot. But creating that balance in our lives is critical. So 2 different kinds of stress, you probably know. That good stress is usually short-lived, infrequent, it's quick, it can be part of a positive life experience, inspires you to action, and it helps kind of build you up. It makes you feel better than you did before. And then we also have our eustress, our distress. And, this typically lasts longer. It's more chronic. It usually falls into the category of negative or depressing. And this is the kind of stress that kind of demotivates and paralyzes you, right? And a lot of us have experienced this over the past year for various reasons. But this type of stress breaks you down and leaves you worse than you were before. The thing is, we need both types of stress in our life. It's not good to have only good stress in our life. It is important to kind of have those fluctuations, but we want to find that place in the middle, okay, between less and more, where we feel like we're rocking it. So what I'll say to you is, like, if you feel like you hit all of these categories, but you feel like you can either like lose that weight or improve your performance, if you're talking about your fitness goals, maybe you're running or cycling or whatever it is, this is the place to look. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to do a 5-minute action each and every day of your life. So what does that mean? I want you to think about what you can do in just 5 minutes to help move yourself, even if it's just the tiniest bit, in the direction of your goals. Just can you set aside 5 minutes a day for yourself to move yourself into the direction of your goals? So it doesn't have to be 30 minutes, doesn't have to be an hour, doesn't even have to be exercise related, okay? But I want you to think about taking back control of your life in tiny chunks of time. So it can look like a workout. It can be a 5-minute workout. Maybe you don't work out at all, and you can start with a 5-minute workout. A couple push-ups, couple squats, a plank, 5 minutes, we're done. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's stretching. Maybe it's having a to-do list, and those 5 minutes each day, you work off of that to-do list. It's only 5 minutes. It can be something different each day, or you could do the same thing each day. Doesn't matter. Just 5 minutes. Okay. And I would encourage you, because here's what happens. We talk about this in my 6-week program. People are like, it's 5 minutes. Like, is it really going to make a difference? Yeah, it's going to make a difference, because you're knocking things out, feel good about yourself, and then you're succeeding because you're checking the block each day, right? So don't discount these tiny little things. Like, this is, if I can just tell you, Just really focus on these little things and they will make a big difference. So again, just to summarize, right? 3-part approach: eat, move, and live. Eat, we talk about our water intake and our protein intake. Move, we talk about our our steps and our NEAT. And live, we talk about our sleep ritual and our 5-minute action. Eat, move, and live. So again, thinking about those ups and downs, we're trying to tug on the line and make it a little bit more even. Going back to that pause button mentality, we don't want to be all the way up or all the way down. We want to be somewhere in the middle. It's okay if there's some fluctuations, but we don't want to be all the way down or all the way up. So with that, I'm going to pop it over. Let's see if I can do this. If I can get you guys over on Facebook. Let me find my Facebook here and see if I can see if there's any questions. It was hard to sort of see both. So let me see here. I'm going to go into my group. Just give me a second. Here we are. Let me see if anybody had any questions. Okay. Good. All right. So it looked like, hopefully it worked the whole time. Yeah, I can see my question mark up there. So again, just a basic summary here of these things that you can really start to implement right away. So if you have any questions on the basic things, please ask. I am starting a new coaching program. We start May 3rd with the onboarding week. I already have a few people signed up, but we dive deeper into this over the course of 6 weeks. It is it's very habit-based. So we do some exercise. We do talk about nutrition, but it's very, very habit-based. And we take a very systematic approach, but you'll have an accountability person, me, and the group members over the course of 6 weeks. But I'm always happy to answer questions about any of this stuff. That's what this group is for. So I would encourage you to utilize it, utilize me, follow along here in the Facebook group, follow on Instagram, on the blog, etc. Okay. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for being here, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.